You must have seen a person like this around you who seems to have it all together. They wake up early, exercise regularly, eat healthy, work diligently, and still manage to pursue their hobbies and spend quality time with loved ones. What's their secret? 2 words: self-discipline. Epictetus was born a slave in ancient Rome. Despite his lowly status, he developed an unbreakable strength of character and will. One day, his cruel master was twisting his leg to torture him. Epictetus calmly said, "If you go on, you will break my leg." When the master kept twisting. Then Epictetus said, still calmly, "I told you, you will break it." And indeed, his leg broke. But Epictetus never cried out or complained. He had developed such command over his mind and emotions that even intense pain could not disturb his equanimity. How did Epictetus build such incredible self-discipline and composure? The same way his more famous student, the great emperor Marcus Aurelius, did, through constant practice of Stoic principles. These ancient philosophers knew that self-discipline is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it grows. Small daily acts of willpower train the mind to withstand greater and greater challenges. The Stoics saw self-discipline not as a burdensome chore, but as the key that unlocks a life of meaning, tranquility, and true freedom. No man is free who is not master of himself, Epictetus declared. Let's explore the Stoic steps to develop this masterful self-control. Building self-discipline is a lifelong journey of tiny steps and big leaps, setbacks and triumphs. By watching this full video, you will gain a wealth of practical strategies and profound wisdom from the Stoic philosophers. Applying these 9 steps consistently will help you develop unshakable self-control, resilience, and purpose. You will have the tools to conquer procrastination, harness motivation, and handle any challenge life throws your way. But this is just the beginning. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more invaluable insights on personal growth and share this video with anyone who needs to hear this empowering message. Remember, almost 90% of our viewers aren't yet subscribed. By joining our community and spreading this wisdom, you're not only transforming your own life, but uplifting countless others. Number 1. Connect to your purpose. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, "I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for?" Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations. He understood that self-discipline begins with a crystal-clear sense of purpose. Think of your purpose as a bright north star that guides you through the dark, cloudy nights of temptation and distraction. When you know exactly where you're headed and why it matters deeply to you, you'll find vast reserves of motivation and willpower. The Spartan warriors, renowned for their self-discipline, were connected to a higher purpose: the glory and defense of their city. The Spartan king Leonidas and his 300 soldiers stood fast against the Persian army's onslaught at the narrow pass of Thermopylae, sacrificing their lives to buy time for their countrymen to prepare. No amount of fear, fatigue, or pain could break their iron discipline. Of course, your purpose doesn't have to be a dramatic military mission. It can be as simple as being a great parent, creating art that inspires others, or building an ethical business. The key is that it matters enormously to you and is tied to being your best self. So reflect deeply on your life's purpose. Write it down. Visualize what it will look and feel like to fulfill that purpose. Let it become the guiding light that banishes any shadows of hesitation or weakness. As Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl put it, those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how. 2. Start small. The thought of total self-discipline can seem daunting, like trying to climb a towering mountain in one leap. But as the ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The Stoics counseled always starting small. If you don't wish to be a hothead, don't feed your habit, Epictetus cautioned. Try as a first step to remain calm. He gives the example of someone with a quick temper. The first step to conquering anger is not suppressing a full-blown screaming fit. It's noticing the first hints of irritation and intercepting them before they explode. It's focusing on being calm for just the first few seconds. This principle applies to any challenge. If you want to eat healthier, don't start by overhauling your entire diet in one day. Begin with one nutritious meal. If you want to get fit, don't try to run 10 miles on day 1. Start with a 10-minute jog around the block. If you want to be more focused, don't force yourself to concentrate for hours. Practice bringing your full attention to a single task for a few minutes. Small, achievable goals give you quick wins that build momentum. Think of it like pushing a heavy flywheel. The first turn takes immense effort, but each rotation becomes a little easier until it's spinning on its own. Self-discipline works the same way. Tiny habits are the first turns of the flywheel that get the whole thing moving. Well-being is realized by small steps, Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, said, but is truly no small thing. Those small steps taken consistently will carry you to towering heights. As you strengthen your self-discipline each day, what once seemed impossible will eventually feel natural and effortless. Begin with something you know you can do, no matter how tiny. Then do it again tomorrow. 3. Practice voluntary discomfort. The Stoics were no strangers to hardship. They lived in a world with no modern medicine, no steady supply of food, no promise of physical safety. Yet they counseled not just accepting these discomforts, but intentionally seeking them out as a way to build strength and character. Seneca, the great Stoic writer and statesman, lived an opulent life of wealth. But he made a point to practice poverty on occasion. He'd wear shabby clothes, sleep on the ground, and eat the simplest food. Why? It is precisely in times of immunity from care that the soul should toughen itself beforehand for occasions of greater stress, he explained. If you would not have a man flinch when the crisis comes, train him before it comes. Cato, an influential Roman Stoic, was renowned for his self-discipline and austerity. He walked bareheaded in the fiercest heat and rain, and wore the same simple clothes in winter and summer. He subjected himself to these discomforts to condition his mind to be unconquerable. We can practice this principle today in small ways. Take a cold shower and relax into the icy sting. Go on a long hike and keep walking when you feel tired. Skip a meal and feel the hollow in your stomach. Sleep on the floor instead of a plush bed. These practices aren't meant to be masochistic. The goal is to build resilience by proving to yourself that you're stronger than any mere physical sensation. When the inevitable hardships of life arrive, your self-discipline will be ready. As Epictetus put it, difficulties show men what they are. In case of any difficulty, remember that God has pitted you against a rough antagonist that you may be a conqueror. 4. Control your impulses. Self-discipline often comes down to a duel between two parts of our minds, our rational, wise self versus our emotional, impulsive self. The Stoics gave the classic metaphor of the rider and the horse. Your reasoning mind is the rider who must guide and control the wild, surging impulses of the horse. Marcus Aurelius gave himself this advice: in your actions, don't procrastinate. In your conversations, don't confuse. In your thoughts, don't wander. In your soul, don't be passive or aggressive. In your life, don't be all about business. In other words, keep the horse of your impulses tightly reined in. One way the Stoics counseled controlling impulses was to pause before acting on them. No matter what anyone says or does, Marcus cautioned, my task is to be good. Wax, if you must be hard. He's saying that our character, our task to be good, is like a hard block of wax. Impulses, temptations, and distractions may press into us, but we can stay firm in our shape. Control your perceptions. Direct your actions properly. Willingly accept what's outside your control, Epictetus taught. When you feel the urge to do something unproductive, stop and ask yourself, is this really in line with my values and goals? Does this impulse actually serve my purpose? Or is it a mere distraction? Often simply pausing for this moment of reflection allows the surge of emotion to subside. It lets our reason reassert control over our impulses. We can't always prevent negative feelings or urges from bubbling up, but we can choose whether or not to act on them. Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies our power to choose. So practice the art of the pause. Notice what's going on in your mind without immediately being swept away by it. Feel the impulse, but don't let it control you. Let it wash over you and dissolve like a wave against an immovable rock. Stay hard like wax, holding your shape. Then make the reasoned choice that serves your deeper purpose. 5. Take responsibility. Complete self-discipline requires taking full responsibility for our lives and choices. It's owning that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. The Stoics saw blaming other people or circumstances for our problems as the ultimate abdication of this responsibility. To make the best of what is in our power and take the rest as it occurs was how Epictetus described the Stoic approach. He gave the metaphor of a voyage. The Stoic traveler chooses the captain, crew, and vessel to the best of his ability. He ensures that everything is in good order. But once at sea, He calmly accepts whatever conditions arise, storms, calm winds, or pirates. He wastes no energy ranting at the sea or feeling sorry for himself. He simply focuses on making the wisest choice given his current circumstances. In the same way, we should prepare as best we can, curating our environment, building good habits, pursuing self-improvement. But we must accept that unexpected challenges will arise. People will let us down. Our efforts may fail. Tragedies may strike. Amidst all this, the Stoic refuses to see himself as a victim. He looks only to his own reasoned choices. Marcus Aurelius put it bluntly: no more excuses. Stop monkeying around. No more. But if this happens, you are responsible for that. The Stoics saw every obstacle as a chance to practice virtue. What if you fail? Then you practiced persistence. What if you're betrayed? Then you practiced forgiveness. What if a loved one dies? Then you practiced resilience. Whatever hardship befalls you, you have a choice. You can crumble, make excuses, sink into self-pity and blame. Or you can square your shoulders, accept the reality in front of you, and respond with courage and self-discipline. No one else can make your choices for you. So take responsibility. Don't rail against the storm. Adjust your sails. Focus only on what is under your control, your thoughts, choices, and actions. Then no adversity can shake you. You'll navigate the turbulent seas of life with a firm hand on the tiller, guided by the lodestar of your purpose. 6. Streamline your environment. Our surroundings can have a huge impact on our habits and behaviors. We're social creatures who unconsciously mimic what's around us. The Stoics believed we must be intentional about curating an environment that supports our values and goals. Throw out the contents of your closets and drawers, clean out your mind and heart as well. Seneca urged, toss away the junk you've collected over the years to make room for the good things that are sure to come your way. Just as we declutter our physical space, we must declutter our mental and emotional space. Seneca is saying to get rid of anything that doesn't align with our highest self and purpose. This could mean literally cleaning out your closet to remove clothes that no longer fit the person you're becoming. It might mean unfollowing social media accounts that make you feel insecure or envious. Perhaps you realize that certain friendships or hobbies are holding you back, and it's time to let them go. You can design your environment to make self-discipline feel effortless. Epictetus advised keeping temptation at a distance whenever possible. Avoid fraternizing with non-philosophers. If you must, though, be careful not to sink to their level, because if a companion is dirty, his friends cannot help but get a little dirty too, no matter how clean they started out. While we can't always avoid negative influences entirely, we can be mindful of how much we expose ourselves to them. On the flip side, surrounding ourselves with people and things that inspire us makes self-discipline almost automatic. If your kitchen is stocked with healthy food, you'll naturally eat better. If your friends are active and driven, you'll absorb those qualities. If your space is organized and serene, you'll feel more focused and disciplined. So look around. Does your environment reflect your values and support you showing up as your best self? Are there any temptations or distractions you can remove? Any positive influences you can add? Something as simple as putting your alarm clock across the room or hiding your phone while you work can make it easier to do the right thing. Remember, you have the power to shape your surroundings. Don't leave it to chance. Consciously create a space that makes you want to be your bravest, wisest, most disciplined self. 7. Monitor your progress. Self-discipline can seem like this elusive, intangible goal. How do you really know if you're making progress? The Stoics emphasize the importance of routine self-reflection and evaluation to track growth and reinforce habits. Seneca advocated regular self-reviews. Put each day up for review. Examine your thoughts and actions. Observe from a distance. Assess honestly. Then, and only then, will you know what to avoid or what to cultivate. At the end of each day, he would reflect on how he spent his time, energy, and attention. He'd note moments of virtue and areas for improvement. Over time, this practice made self-discipline a natural part of his character. Marcus Aurelius kept a journal that became his famous meditations. In it, he gave himself reminders and pep talks to stay strong in his values. When jarred, unavoidably, by circumstances, revert at once to yourself, and don't lose the rhythm more than you can help. You'll have a better grasp of the harmony if you keep on going back to it. His journal was a way to monitor his mindset and choices, always pulling himself back to his core purpose. There are many ways we can apply this today. Keep a simple habit tracker to check off each day you meditate, exercise, eat healthy, work on that project, or whatever discipline you're building. Journal for a few minutes each night, reflecting on how you showed up. Note any triggers that threw you off track and how you can prepare for them. Celebrate any wins or positive choices. What gets measured gets managed. By keeping an eye on your progress, you make the intangible tangible. You see evidence of how each small choice adds up over time. You start to take pride in the streak of successful days. The habit gets tied to your identity. You're becoming the kind of person who does this. Tracking can also help you catch a slip before it becomes a backslide. Maybe you notice you're getting a little sloppy in your routine. You can adjust and get back on track before all your hard-earned progress is lost. It's a way of staying accountable to yourself. So find a method of monitoring that works for you. Keep it simple and something you'll actually stick with. The goal isn't to judge yourself harshly, but to gently steer yourself always in the direction of your highest potential. Let your progress inspire you to keep going, one glorious day at a time. 8. Find role models. Community. No one builds incredible self-discipline in total isolation. We all need inspiration, support, guidance, and the Stoics were no exception. While self-discipline ultimately comes from within, the right role models and community can be rocket fuel for growth. Seneca had a mentor in the philosopher Attalus, who he deeply admired. I would listen to him with such concentration that I even jotted down his ideas as to help me pursue my studies when I was alone. He absorbed Attalus' example of discipline and incorporated it into his own practice. Seneca in turn became a valued mentor to Emperor Nero, at least during Nero's more ethical early reign. Marcus Aurelius looked to philosophers of the past as his invisible counselors. He expressed gratitude for the flesh and blood mentors he had in his family, friends, and teachers. He realized how much their virtuous examples shaped him. From my brother, I learned to be unstinting in my praise of my teachers and to be plain in my way of living and far from the ways of the rich. We are the average of the people we surround ourselves with. Their habits and attitudes rub off on us for better or worse. So if we want to build unshakable self-discipline, it pays to be intentional about our influences. Seek out a mentor who embodies the traits you want to develop. Study the lives of great heroes and figures you admire. Read biographies and philosophy to absorb their hard-earned wisdom. Just like the Stoics, you can have an inner council of advisors across space and time. Look for real-life friends, colleagues, or communities of people striving to live with purpose and principle. Link up with an accountability buddy to check in on goals. Join a group workout or study session to tap into that shared motivation. Engage in deep discussions about ethics, meaning, and personal growth. Spend time with people who inspire you to be your best self. At the same time, set boundaries with influences that undermine your self-discipline. You don't have to cut them out entirely, but limit exposure. Crowd them out by filling your time with positive support. Remember, you have the power to curate your social environment. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Epictetus taught, we unconsciously adapt to our surroundings. Make sure yours is drawing out your most focused, virtuous, self-disciplined side. Self-discipline takes immense effort and willpower. There's no need to make it harder by going it alone. Actively seek out the people and resources that make you feel fired up to tackle your toughest challenges. Let their example be an updraft that lifts you to new heights. 9. Be gracious with yourself. While discipline is about holding yourself to high standards, the Stoics emphasize that it's not about perfection. Self-compassion is just as important as self-control. We must practice being gracious with our mistakes and struggles. Epictetus cautioned against harsh self-judgment. If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. And it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now. The Stoics saw excessive negative self-talk as irrational and unhelpful. Beating yourself up doesn't lead to positive change. Seneca put setbacks in perspective. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Challenges and failures aren't shameful, they're opportunities for growth. The path to self-discipline is paved with slips and stumbles. What matters is that you get back up, dust yourself off, and keep going. In his meditations, Marcus Aurelius counseled himself towards patient self-acceptance. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, and so none of them can hurt me. No one can implicate me in ugliness, nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him. He's reminding himself that everyone struggles, so responding with compassion towards others and himself is most wise and constructive. So when you face a setback in your self-discipline practice, notice any judgment or frustration that bubbles up. Acknowledge the feeling, but don't let it consume you. Take a step back and reframe the situation as an opportunity to learn and strengthen your resilience. What can this teach you for next time? Speak to yourself like you would to a dear friend or small child who's trying their best. Encourage rather than criticize. Celebrate every tiny win and moment of progress. If you keep showing up and start again, you cannot fail. Self-discipline isn't about being a machine. You will waver and stumble sometimes. The key is to respond with grace. Learn the lesson, recommit to what matters most, and carry on. Be an unconditional ally in your own growth. Like a compassionate coach, firmly call forth your best while embracing all of your humanness. Building self-discipline is a lifelong journey of tiny steps and big leaps, setbacks and triumphs. Stay connected to a purpose bigger than any one success or failure. Let the wisdom of the Stoics be a steadying hand on your shoulder as you face each day's challenges. Start small, design your environment for success, persevere through discomfort, take responsibility, and focus on what you can control. Track your progress, learn from losses, celebrate wins, draw on inspiring examples and encouraging companions. Above all, know that you have the strength within you. One reasoned choice at a time, you're crafting an unconquerable soul.